video blog. So everybody that does something wrong, the government fucking protects. It's fucking sickening. Like they protect the abortionist and the person getting the abortion. They protect the LGBTQ as they desecrate and defile the body. They protect all forms of fucking evil. The annoying person fucking shaking their leg or tapping or doing other annoying things. And they can terrorize you, and the government protects their unfucking unbelievable fucking satanistic fucking actions. And I go around getting punished every day by the wicked. It's fucking sickening. The government goes and defends the pieces of fucking filth, standing up for them, defending them, and taking down the righteous. I mean, talk about a fucking sick society where the kid next to me shaking his leg before he would be disciplined. Now he's protected. The poor, misunderstood little piece of fucking shit. My dad sat me on a chair and said, if you moved an inch, I'll rip off your fucking ear. I didn't move an inch. I wasn't protected. I was taught to be highly disciplined. Now you protect the pieces of shit, and as it says, it destroys our fucking society. I'll put ignoring rudeness leads to a total collapse of society. And shaking your leg is rude. And so they ignore this shit. They let the fucking wicked get away with it. And then righteous people get legal charges against them. Like what happened to the Christian church in Indiana. The little kid who ran around and was incredibly undisciplined, and they spanked him. The church got shut down because the church spanked him for his inappropriate actions. And me, I was perfectly disciplined. They were very good to me. Truly, they were very good to me. But the little fucking piece of shit, when his mom found out that he got his ass spanked for being inappropriate, they sued and won a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the church. Multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the church. So now, as it says, incitement. Because this is what people do. They go into places and they do things like this, like happened to Charles Barkley. The guy stood next to him, inciting him. And then Charles finally couldn't take it anymore. Now, he could have asked for security to remove him, but when you're in a fight or flight, your mind doesn't think of alternatives. It gets tunnel vision. If you watched any of my research, so your mind doesn't think, oh, I could have ran away. I could have done this. Your mind thinks, kick the fucking shit out of him. So what happened? Charles fucking leveled him. And then it went to court. And the judge found out the guy was inciting him intentionally. And then found out that he was doing it so he could get a big fucking lawsuit out of Charles Barkley. So the case was dismissed against Charles, But they should have brought punitive damages against the fucking piece of fucking garbage. But the judge said, good for you, Charles. Kicking his fucking ass. And that guy was a white guy. He was a white guy. He was looking for some good fucking money in a lawsuit. So all he had to do is agitate Charles. And Charles getting tunnel vision, and you do get tunnel vision, you're not thinking of the alternative. You're thinking either get away from it or destroy it. Fight or flight. That's it. Either I'm going to move away or I'm going to beat the living fucking shit out of them. Those are the only two alternatives. And the court needs to see that. If you want other alternatives, then you need to build it in training. But if a person wasn't trained, then it goes to the primitive and the case is dismissed against them and charges are brought against the other. So here, me beating the fucking shit out of the kid, not only would I be applauded, that kid would be thrown in jail for incitement. So they wouldn't get away with it. They would get their ass kicked twice. What is the point of eternal damnation? Giving it to them here and then burning them there. They're a two-time loser. They get their fucking ass handed to them. Not only once, but twice. That's the righteous thing. And this country allows the trolls, and my friend Raul, he's an Indian. He hated trolls. People that intentionally incite, like all these fucking tailgaters, fucking acting like this is Indianapolis 500 racing. They're aggravated driving. It's assault. It's assault with a deadly weapon. And many other negativities. But the government allows the fucking trolls to go out and piss people off. And I watched all the time. And they would be, I got him all pissed off. That guy's gonna have a heart attack. Watch the show Dumb and Dumber, the movie. They're like, we'll put all this hot sauce on his sandwich. It'll be really funny when they eat it. And the guy has a heart attack and dies. It's not that you go in and order it. That's on you. They did it as a joke. Don't we learn that from the Breakfast Club? Where he talks about the guy has a hairy ass, and then they tape his ass with duct tape, and when they pull the duct tape off, not only did they pull the hair, but took off skin, because they thought it would be funny, because he has a hairy ass to tape his ass together with duct tape. And so they should have been charged criminally. Not only did he lose the hair, which was no big deal, he lost shitloads of flesh. So they think it's funny. So you allow these people to go around tailgating and everything else, continuously traumatizing. And then you sleep at night with peace of mind. Somehow, you allow them. We have excessive acceleration. So people can go smoothly off the line. They don't have to accelerate fast. They don't have to punch the pedal. And it's better for the environment they don't. And that's why we put in excessive acceleration. Again, so people can go out and drive in peace and leisure and not have to worry about being terrorized by others. Truly. They have to maintain their distance no matter what. If you're going slow, and I looked it up, the law says the other person has to go around. The other person has no law, no legal right to violate your space. You know that? They must maintain their distance. No matter how slow you're going, you must maintain your distance. And if you're going fast and catching up on somebody, the law says it doesn't matter. You must maintain your distance. So either you slow down or you change lanes, but you can't violate their personal space. That's the purpose of it. Personal space. Making your ability to go out and drive peaceful and tranquil. They can't violate your space. So this goes for walking and everything else. So you have people butting in and violating personal space. And if you're preferred to somebody else, just like dating, if I prefer something over something else, I'm not giving in. I like Asian girls, so I prefer them to white girls. Unless there's some incredible value proposition from a white girl. But I like Asian girls. That's a preference developed over decades and decades and decades by experience. Who treated me the best on a continuous basis? Like Jean at the church. It didn't go right with other, but I had Jean always saving a seat for me at every service, sitting next to me, welcoming me, smiling, happy to see me, happy to be right next to me. Seriously, she desired it. She had no one sit next to her for years and years and years. Not anyone else in the small group, not anyone else in the church. She never allowed anyone to sit next to her. Every time I came, she had a seat waiting right next to her. Every Good Friday service, I walk in, and this wasn't even, she just show up earlier, and she would be at Good Friday service, and I walk in, and she raised it right there next to me. Always right at my side, saving me a space, being kind to me, just like Glow did. Chad was more indifferent, but Glow, she was always very in tune to my feelings. Maybe because Glow had a lot of suffering. So she was always in tune to my feelings. And I built up a very deep connection. And yes, every time I mention her name, I start crying. Because she didn't need to die. They did it wrong. I was trying to, intervene, create an intervention. And I was trying to create an intervention. Trying to save her. They cut me out of the card group. They cut me out of interacting with them. They cut me out of interacting with her. They intentionally did it. All of them cut me out of the fucking group. They uninvited me. And Chad allowed it. Where is Mike? He usually plays cards with us. Mike's not coming anymore. They cut me out. So, truly, I had all these ideas for her. She was always ultra good to me. But when they close the door in your face, what can you do? You just let them die. You think it's like Pat Man. I did all kinds of things for him before he got sick. I helped him with the workman's comp. I got him his health insurance. I took care of whatever he needed. Mark would call me, and whatever Pat needed, I would take care of. It was without question. The last time Mark called me, because I gave him how to get health insurance for him, and Mark was working with Pat because they've been intimate friends, and the three of us actually been best friends since 1990. We get along perfectly. And so Mark had more day-to-day interaction, and so I thought Mark was calling me, and if he was here, he could. And I'm like, okay, I'll buy Pat Mann's health insurance. Whatever it costs, you tell me the premium, I'll pay. Whatever he needs, I'll pay for his health insurance. Not some high deductible, zero deductible. So I wasn't going, oh yeah, get him a $5,000 deductible. No, get him a zero deductible plan. I'll pay. And he said, no, we got him the health insurance a long time ago. And what you told me worked. We got him all the health insurance and that. But now he's in hospice and about to die. And this is a mistake I made. I said, well, he's in hospice. I just got the phone call. He's in hospice. Okay. Can I come tomorrow and not today? And he said, well, he's pretty bad, but yeah, you probably will make it to tomorrow. Not Mark's fault. Hospice care should have told him how critical it was. But then I wake up in the morning, early in the morning, and I'm to go see Pat. And Mark tells me, no, Pat passed away in the middle of the night. It's like, what the fuck? But I helped him in every possible way. And then Pat wasn't taking his shakes. He wasn't doing certain things. He got so depressed. I didn't know about his depression. Mark didn't tell me. I wasn't interacting. Last time I saw Pat, now Billy did do a solid for Pat, allowing him to do a fundraiser at Excalibur. And I went to the fundraiser and I donated hundreds of dollars to his fund. And then I went to talk to him more intimately, and he kind of pushed me away. He was with these two other girls, and he didn't. And I had some other things, but he chose to push me and isolate me. Pat pushed me away. So I worked through Mark. I found a surrogate. And I worked through Mark to get Pat everything he needed. But again, I wasn't aware of the intimate details. I didn't know about his depression. I didn't know what the cancer was doing. I was left out of all of it. So how can I save somebody when I'm cut out of the information? When you don't give me the truth? How can I do things effectively when you lie to me and deceive me? How can I do things properly? Garbage in, garbage out. And so I didn't know those details. So I helped Pat with everything. I used to help him out with his girlfriend problems, everything. I loved his mother. She was a great lady. Obviously, I loved Pat. His mother was an editor for books. She had so many thousands of books that she edited, just like Hahn, I should say, he's an editor for the Federal Reserve. He edits all the economic pieces, dumbing it down, keeping it simple, stupid. So when people read it, they don't read all the technical. He takes the technical and makes it simple. He takes very sophisticated economic terms and turns it into plain language. So when a layman, like a senator who is not part of the Fed, doesn't have understand all these different instruments or tools they use, that he takes that and makes it simple for them. And all the detail is behind it, but he gives them the executive summary. Quick, fast, easy, and to the point. Valuing their time. So his pieces go to people in the Senate, go to people on the financing committee and the banking committee and all that, his economic summaries. So they can read it, get the information they need quickly, and make decisions quicker, causing efficiencies, not dumbing it down in the detail. David was the same as a banker. He even further mentored me to get better at summing great amount of information into smaller and smaller spaces, bullet pointing it and making subcategories that are very small, taking lots of text and putting it into small, concise statements. That's it. David does it for the banks, so they don't have to have 6-hour meetings. He takes hours and hours and information that takes him a month to gather. It takes him 1 hour to digest it at the bank. So he takes a month of research. Every month he has the meetings. He takes a month of research and condenses it down into a single hour of information. And he could sell off that information on a professional journal. He doesn't even have to have individual banking clients. He can sell a journal to the banking industry. He can take all his information, condense it down, and sell it to the banking industry, to the fund management industry. Truly. So he could sell that information to the Federal Reserve. So he can just create a professional journal, which would bring him more money than he ever gets from individual banking clients. So he takes all that information and whittles it down into 1 hour. And all the supporting data is there. They get all the supporting data, so the people can flip through the pages and do the research. So everything is there, all the supporting documents. But that side, they just give them a 1-page sheet. 2 pages sometimes is too many, because he's going to hit the bullet point and then elaborate on the bullet point. He's going to talk to them, making his presence necessary so he can build the relationship with the bankers and the board. So they can get it right from the horse's mouth. And then he allows them at the end to do a Q&A. They can ask questions during, but at the end it's open to a general Q&A. Do you need any other division? Truly. Does the commercial real estate division need more information? Does the retail banking division need more information? Does the financial service division need more information? And they're all part of the board, and they get to ask follow-up questions. But again, I told him to link up with my other client, who was a tax attorney, to link up with Carl's friend, who was a Japanese guy, but he followed the American economy. And so The other white guy who was my client was a tax attorney, and he did airbags. But he also had great knowledge about taxes because he was a tax attorney for Arthur Andersen. He was a high-level tax attorney for Arthur Andersen. And he turned to me, and David would answer questions about insurance and that, and then I'd come back in the room when I left, and then he'd ask me the question, and I'd give him the answer, and he's like, David, you need to let Michael handle the insurance questions and these detailed questions and defer to him. You're not the expert here. And he walked in and told them. And he was right. David gave him incorrect information. But the thing is, he's a high-level tax attorney. And he had his son in school who was getting out of medical school. And he said, I need you to put together debt servicing packages for me. And so I put together all kinds of servicing packages, which I did for Michael for his law school debt, from working in certain areas, like working with the Peace Corps or the AmeriCorps or others, that gives you loan forgiveness, to other consolidation programs using certain types of loans and so on. And I put it all together, and he was very happy. It solved the problem of the huge student loan debt for his son. Took a lot of debt and miniaturized it. So his son could be out from under the debt in a couple years. Not a decade, but a couple years he would be debt-free. And he was very happy. And also, I was trying to get him a meeting with Senator McCain because Takata was getting sued for their faulty ignition for the airbags. And he had a company right here in Illinois that sells the explosive charge for the airbags. And I believe in airbags can be put into lots of other things as well. But I was helping them, and also I referred them to Walsh Brothers, that Walsh Brothers could make components that go into the device. So I referred them to Walsh Brothers. So part of his device could be manufactured by Walsh Brothers. So it wasn't him doing anything. He had a better system than Takata. Takata cost all those automakers a fortune because the airbags didn't deploy correctly. So he had a better system that was more reliable. And so I was helping him solve a problem. Why? Saving lives. And so all those people don't know, behind the scenes in all these vehicles, I was advocating to save their life no matter where they were in the world. And like I said, airbags need to go into semis and trucks. They're not in trucks. Of most size, they're not in trucks. And so I was advocating them to be in trucks. 1 out of 3 truck drivers, when they get in an accident, they die. It's like a 33% rate. They have, from an accident, because the truck is so huge, the trailer is weighted with incredibly heavy stuff. And now when the trailer's empty, the survival rate goes up. But when the trailer's full, the survival rate goes down. So an accident is more severe because of the load factor. So 60 miles an hour with an empty trailer, the crash isn't as severe. Remember, mass times speed equals force. Well, when the trailer's full, it has greater mass and the impact is more deadly. So the survival rate depends on how full the trailer is and what it's carrying. So if it's carrying steel compared to food, the mass of the trailer is way heavier, and an accident will be much more severe. If it's carrying food, an accident will be less severe. But the driver, these truck drivers don't know. The Teamsters don't know this. The people that engineer the trucks, they don't know this. And so, again, it all depends how they're going to survive. So an empty load, high survival. A full load, low survival. And this is where they need to maintain more distance. So when the truck is full, the spacing has to get greater. And so the rule of thumb, 1 car length for every 10 miles, does not apply. Because as the vehicle gets heavy, the stopping distance takes longer. And that means the severity of the impact is more severe because the brakes don't slow down the vehicle as much. So the weight of the train does matter. And when a train gets at high speeds and it has heavy weight, the crumple zones of the train, the passenger components in that, or the surrounding area, if that train derails, is going to have serious issues. It's going to wipe out everything around it. But if the train cars are empty, when they go off, they won't do as much damage because they don't carry as much force. And so you have to understand this. So when you're doing impact with a Honda Civic, it all depends on how big the car is hitting it. So I'll give you an example, and it all depends on the vehicle in front of it. If it gets pushed into another vehicle, you can look this up. San Francisco Bridge, I read the story. There was driving in a Pinto on the bridge. In front of the Pinto was a semi. The semi stopped. The Pinto stopped. But the truck behind it didn't. And it hit the Pinto. Well, the weight of the truck in front of it was so heavy, it didn't move the truck in front of it. And so what happened and had to give? The Pinto gave. And it crushed like a tin can because the heavier object in front didn't yield to the impact. And so the Pinto couldn't transfer energy into the vehicle in front of it by it absorbing it and it getting pushed forward. So there was a family in the vehicle. And so what happened to the family? They got crushed. It was a tin can. They had to pull them out. Little kids, 2 adults, small children, crushed into a sardine, basically. And they said in the article that they had to pull them out piece by piece. They were smashed like in a compactor. And so they could only remove pieces of their body at a time as they pried the metal apart, loosening it up so they can get to the remains. It was basically hamburger, to be quite concise. So you don't understand these things. So when you're driving a small car and you have a larger vehicle coming up on you, and say it's a bigger BMW and you're in a small car like I am, and then you have a bigger object or the wall in front of you, they're going to transfer all the energy into your car. You're not going to transfer much energy into the wall. You're going to die. They're going to live. So we take tailgating and speeding unbelievably serious. And when I say, blow their fucking brains out, I'm not kidding. So you think I'm being cruel. I'm fair in all my statements. And when I say that, I'm not being heartless or unfair. I'm stopping future tragedy. So I'm saving exponential lives. So God doesn't give a shit what comes out of my mouth because it all turns out just. You just don't know. You're the ignorant fuck that thinks I make unjust statements. You don't have the information. You don't see the long run. You don't have all the ability. And so I'm not kidding. That's why they consider a car a deadly weapon. It is like pointing a knife or a gun at somebody. It is the same fucking thing. And so when you're doing this, these things break down the ability for the vehicles, if there's an accident, for them to survive. It multiplies the severity exponentially, and this is why we have all these vehicle deaths all over the place. Because of the amplification, because you allow these people to drive like pieces of fucking shit. Instead, I'm ruthless. And I would take them down in a heartbeat and not give them an inch. And again, you can go to the Tumblr on the put this with discourtesy. It's the same thing. And it shows you, if you give them an inch, it's a reward. And the longer you allow them to do it, the greater reward. So God looks at you disrespecting me and treating me like shit. And the longer you do it, the greater you're rewarded when there's no punishment for your negative actions against me. And so it's a multiplier effect. And God looks at the multiplier effect, how much you're fucking getting away with, and it's exponentially destroying me as you allow these motherfuckers to get away with all this shit. So you're exponentially more evil. It's a multiplying of force. So the longer it goes, the worse off you are in God's eyes. It's not like, oh, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. It's a 1-to-20 ratio, a 1-to-100 ratio. That one act is like 100 acts. So every act now is a multiplier effect. And that's what happens in aggregation. I told you, God only thinks in aggregation. He thinks about the multiplying effect of allowing some piece of fucking dirtbag like the kid shaking his leg at Starbucks getting the fuck away with it. And you incentivize, and incentivize. Instead, I would whack them. Nip it in the bud. Taking away all incentive. Taking away all reward. Making it incredibly detrimental to even think of it. And that's where he wants it to go. Not only them not doing it, them not even trying to conspiratize to even think about doing it. It doesn't cross their mind because the punishment is so fucking great, they wouldn't even dare behind closed doors conspiratize against me. But that's where coups start, where grassroots movements start. Watch the Arab Spring. And so they can conspiratize behind closed doors against you. And the longer you let it get away with, the more they can do it. And it's a domino effect as they gather it. That's how bin Laden gathered all those troops in Afghanistan and had this massive freaking army, not only in Afghanistan, which his presence was incredible, but he had a global army. And so I'm for justice and righteousness. I'm the opposite of bin Laden. My army is supposed to be global and fucking massive. So crushing anyone under the weight of my fury. But instead, you empower these disgusting fucks. So I'll put the multiplying effect and I'll pose it to artificial intelligence with cars, and you don't understand any of this fucking shit. And you allow these motherfuckers to get away with it. But I do, and my subconscious does, and it infuriates me because before, I could take it to you. And you can ask black kids at the University of Arizona. They wouldn't dare fuck with me. So, physically threaten me, that never happened. Because they knew I could kick the fucking living fucking shit out of them in a heartbeat. But I didn't have to. We were all good friends. I didn't have to go to violence because I act appropriately all the fucking time. So I never did things that were inappropriate to them. So from their side, but when it has, like Jeff's friend and that, there was a few times that I had to knock them the fuck out. And I don't do fights like other people. I'm not here to brawl you. I will end you immediately. So I don't have fights where I wrestle around or anything else. I'm not on the ground fighting for position or anything else. I take you out immediately with the first strike. But I let you set yourself up. And how do you learn in boxing? The counter punch or the counter kick. I let them show their hand. I want them to show their hand. And once they show their hand, I know how to react. I practice my whole life. We do this in wrestling. We touch their head. We push on their shoulder in a way. Now, this is wrestling for you to disclose your move so we can see where you're going to go. And we're setting you up for the counter. So if we want to go to the single leg, we want to see how you react. So if I push on you, how does your body come back towards me? Do you favor the right foot, the left foot? Do you put out the right foot to stabilize you or the left foot to stabilize you? So I want to see how you respond when I push on you to create instability, how you try to stabilize yourself. Do you lean in with the right shoulder, the left shoulder? Do you step forward? Do you step backwards? So I know if I have a single leg, double leg, if I have an under-over, because your head goes down, then I can do an under-over, over your head, under your arm. But I'm watching to see how you respond. Action, reaction. but on also not making myself vulnerable. That's why the hands out there, like the linebacker, we learned, and safeties, and keeping them away from you when you're dealing with bigger people like Walter Payton, the forearm shiver. So you have these big defensive tackles like, and he hit them with the forearm shiver, keeping them away from the body. Linebackers use the same thing, but it's a two-arm shiver, keeping them off of their body so they can move the lineman left or right. So when the lineman comes at you, you don't let him get into your body. You hit him with a two-arm shiver, standing them up, and then you look if you need to move them left or right, because now you stood them up, they're back on their heels. Now you can move them left or right. Do you know how many sacks I had as a defensive lineman? It was incredible. Literally, if you threw the ball, I was going to sack you. I had unbelievable amounts of sacks. That was sophomore year and below, but I would crush the opposing offensive lineman in one way or another. And if you were throwing and didn't get rid of it instantly, I was on top of you, and I loved destroying quarterbacks. But I never hit them cheaply. So when I hit them hard, but I hit them legal and technically correct. So I never caused a quarterback to get a concussion or break a quarterback's arm or leg. I'm mindful of my actions. Just like when I punch somebody, I govern it. So it's enough to disable you, but not enough to jeopardize you, give you a concussion, or kill you. So I don't fully open up on you. But this takes a lot of training. I fought literally almost every day as a young kid, training myself so I can apply the most righteous pressure, just enough to accomplish what I needed, not more than enough, no excess. So all those people that I beat up, they became my friends, because I never went more than what was necessary. I never took vengeance punches and just beat them bloody. So I never crossed over. Show me another person in the world that trains to be incredibly. Bruce Lee. Tell me Bruce Lee trained to be righteous with every strike, not applying any more force than is necessary. Show me another person on this earth that have trained that way. That's called stewardship. So I became friends with all of them. It was a form of necessary discipline, but the discipline was proportional, appropriate, breaking them in a way where this doesn't understand in artificial intelligence, where they know not to go back. Only Tony Lubrano was the only kid that went back. But the second time, I even made it more understood. This time, I learned to communicate. Do we have an understanding? I'm not going to let you up. I'm not going to rebuild your society until we come to an understanding. And if you move from peace and you attempt to do anything that moves towards hostility, I will wipe it out immediately. And I learned this as a little kid, and I used to communicate to them this. And I would tell them, do we have an understanding? Do you understand how this relationship works? And if you take an inch, I am not going to tolerate it. I have zero tolerance. I'm going to wipe you the fuck out. But they understood. They never crossed that threshold again. So this is how it's supposed to be. applied. Understanding this, when you go into Iran or Iraq, and I keep on getting frustrated at how they handle their military confrontations and their interaction, they're not sending the correct message. They're applying too much force or too little force, or force in the wrong way, and it creates issues with results. So find me another person that in all their conflict actions is incredibly just. And I'm talking about when you hurt people, that your application with that pain is incredibly just to them. Not one more inch, not one more pound of pressure or force than what is necessary to accomplish the mission. That's how I taught myself through God. So God has a no-holds bar for me. He doesn't give a shit what I do. Anything I do is sanctified. So no matter what you do, you can't dethrone me. You can't make me unsanctified. No matter what action you do, you look like the ass, you're going to burn in hell. So, as the old statement I learned as a little kid, I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you do to me bounces off of me and sticks to you in a negative connotation. But this is what's happened all my life. And eventually, when people find out, I win hands down, like girls. If Jen would have known all I'd done for her, then there is no way she would have even thought about separating. But I don't like to brag. The Bible tells you not to be boast. So the majority of everything I do for my brother John, Carl, Ellen, everything, I usually always done my whole life behind the scenes, them never knowing. Because in the Bible, it tells you to be humble and not to be boastful. And so I can't. As I tore me up inside, I wanted Jen to interpret everything, to know me. She knew me. And to this day, I still can't believe she made that decision. That I prepared her for years, and she said she would fight. And even right before the breakdown, in the garage at the complex, when I moved away from her for a little bit, she came running up towards me. And I said, that's what I need you to do. I need you to fight for this relationship. I wanted to see her response. And she responded correctly, but I don't hide things. It wasn't deception. And that's what I told her right away. You did the right thing. That's what I was hoping you'd do. And I believe you will fight for me. As you say, and again, she said right after that, after I told her why, she's like, yes, I will fight for this relationship. I will fight for you. I want you, I need you, and I will battle for you. So I was blindsided. I had absolute faith in her ability to overcome. I believed in her that much. And that's where God goes when he entrusts somebody. When he entrusts in them, he believes them absolutely. And failure is not an option on mine. So, anyways, I'll leave this video, but I'll put some things on Tumblr to go along with the video.